Thanks so much for being with us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nakrin. Our top story that we're following right now is the latest at Apalachee High School, where classes have resumed for the first time since that deadly shooting 3 weeks ago. Here's a look at the scene where students are wrapping up their first day back in the classroom. And this week is the first phase of their gradual reopening plan, 3 weeks after the deadly shooting on campus. The 4 victims top of mind as students and staff get back to learning. 14-year-olds Christian Angulo and Mason Schermerhorn, along with educators Christina Arimi and Richard Aspinwall, were all buried this month. Atlanta News First reporter Sarah Hammond is there as students are about to head home for their first day back in the classroom, with more on how Apalachee is slowly reopening.
A parking lot full of cars and a building full of students and teachers. That's the scene at Apalachee High School on their first day back to class. It's been 3 weeks since law enforcement says 14-year-old Colt Gray opened fire inside the school, killing 4 people. Now a half-day schedule, increased law enforcement presence, counselors, and these therapy dogs are what welcomes the school community back. Some took the time as the school day started to visit the memorial, still sitting outside the front of the school. Apalachee students and teachers will continue on a half-day schedule until October 4th, when they leave for fall break. The Barrow County School District says the building where the shooting actually took place will stay closed for the rest of the year. Students will be bused back and forth from Chi East for some of their classes. As for increased security, junior Sasha Contreras says she wishes some more safety measures were in place before they have to go back, like clear backpacks.
At least like a short-term policy, or at least an online alternative until we are expected to go back, and until they have the board meeting that has input from community, students, and parents.
Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith says not all of the increased safety measures will be visible.
There are safety measures in place, and just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there.
There is a Barrow County Board of Education work session happening tonight at 6 o'clock, the first since the school announced their reopening plans. However, there will be no opportunity for public comment until the October 1st formal meeting.
And people in the community coming together with small acts of service to bring hope to the survivors following the Apalachee High School tragedy. Atlanta News First reporter Sawyer Bussey has more.
A parking lot full of cars and a building full of students and teachers. That's the scene at Apalachee High School on their first day back to class. It's been 3 weeks since law enforcement says 14-year-old Colt Gray opened fire inside the school, killing 4 people. Now a half-day schedule, increased law enforcement presence, counselors, and these therapy dogs are what welcomes the school community back. Some took the time as the school day started to visit the memorial, still sitting outside the front of the school. Apalachee students and teachers will continue on a half-day schedule until October 4th, when they leave for fall break. The Barrow County School District says the building where the shooting actually took place will stay closed for the rest of the year.
And as with any election, security a top priority. Clayton County leaders spent several hours today testing that security for the upcoming election. The goal is to avoid any sense of chaos come Election Day. Atlanta News First Don Shipman has more from Jonesboro, and this is the first time Clayton County has held this type of workshop.
To ensure that any threat or disruptions.
The list of potential threats is long, from a cybersecurity attack to someone attempting to harm voters or poll workers. Clayton County leaders gathering in this small room inside their election offices to play out every possible scenario.
This is a part of our management plan to test out our readiness and to come up with ideas that may help us on Election Day.
At the click of a button.
Election leaders, county and state law enforcement, the local power company, and even the fire department have a seat at the table. Under discussion right now, a made-up scenario where someone on social media calls on armed citizens to watch over vote counting. The real process will likely take a lot longer this year, now that Georgia lawmakers voted to mandate all ballots be hand-counted.
Our priority is to ensure that our polling places are secure, both not only the workers but those citizens who are coming in to vote. Should those be injured people, then we will obviously be part of that initial response.
Battleground state Georgia was thrust into the national spotlight during the 2020 election when then-President Donald Trump made that infamous call to Georgia's Secretary of State asking him to find votes in his favor. A legal battle that's still playing out, with the former president facing several charges in an election interference case in Fulton County, a scenario election officials in Clayton County hope to avoid.
So we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we possibly can to be prepared.
Presidential election is always big, and this one's no different.
And more changes on how Georgia will run things on Election Day. Some controversial issues on the table include whether votes will be counted by hand. Political insiders now say the current chaos could lead to another lawsuit. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Kosoris explains why.
We expect there could be legal challenges. The Attorney General Chris Carr and the Secretary of State's office saying the bulk of these new rules go against existing state law. But don't expect a lawsuit from them because the state can't sue the state.
The legislature's already made their point clear, and the Attorney General said, y'all don't have the authority to go in and do this.
Madeline Somerville is an Atlanta attorney and consultant. She remembers working at the Capitol during 2020, watching Georgia officials react as former President Donald Trump rejected the results of the election.
You should want to have an accurate election, and you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
State Democrats and Republicans, including Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Governor Brian Kemp, maintained the position there was no widespread voter fraud in 2020 and that President Joe Biden won Georgia.
There are going to be a lot of amicus briefs that are filed, sort of a coalition of people coming together, and there are some very strong Republican groups that we know that Kemp has gotten support from and stood beside throughout the years, who are saying, please don't do this.
Those groups could file a lawsuit, but with less than 2 months before Election Day, the Secretary of State's office will send out new guidance for polling officials to make sure their workers are trained.
Breaking up the ballot boxes after you close the precinct, you won't be getting those Election Day votes until maybe 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 4 o'clock in the morning. And we just don't believe that's healthy for the Republic, and we don't think it's healthy for people of Georgia.
The earliest possible date for these rules to go into effect is October 14th, 22 days before the general election. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kosoris.
And potential relief for millions of Georgians who have some hefty credit card balances. The Federal Reserve decided to slash interest rates, but will it put a dent in your debt? Atlanta News First consumer investigator Better Call Harry has the answer, and also your options.
It's been 4 very long years since we've had an interest rate cut, and people carrying a credit card balance will get some relief. But here's the problem. Rates are at an all-time high.
Bankrate.com says the average credit card charges over 20%, and some of us are paying 30%. Yes, the Federal Reserve's interest rate cut is significant, but for now, experts at Bankrate and Morningstar say your monthly payments will barely change, and here's why. Interest rates are like an airplane that's flying at 30,000 feet. The interest rate cut brings that plane down to 25,000 feet, if that. So what can you do? You can take a look at balance transfer cards with 0% interest. It's worth a shot. Here's an example, the Wells Fargo Reflect card. It's 21 months, but see where it says important credit terms? Read it. Holy smokes, the balance transfer fee is 5%. And here's a Discover card with an 18-month offer. See where it says see rates? Yeah, click that. The transfer fee is down to 3%.
I want to talk about HELOCs real quick and personal loans, because I'm looking at HELOCs right now, 7.2%, 7.49%, 8.3%. This is another option for you. You might have better luck with this. Remember, balance transfer cards only make a difference if you pay down the debt. The rate cut is a start, but experts say it will take several interest rate cuts before you see and feel a difference. I'm Better Call Harry, Atlanta News First.
And more on Harry's investigation on AtlantaNewsFirst.com, also by downloading our free mobile news app. By downloading that, you can also get updates on all the top stories, breaking news, and your full First Alert forecast sent right to your phone. Thanks for joining us.